Welcome back to another episode of Bulletproof Mindset, Scotland's #1 health, fitness and entertainment podcast. Yes, this is self-proclaimed, but here, if I don't believe it, then who will? In today's guest episode, I welcome Jordan Green on the podcast. Now, Jordan is a CrossFit coach, and not only that, he owns his own CrossFit box called Gainline Strength. There's a really cool story to dive into, where the name came from, his journey through getting into fitness, becoming a kind of assistant manager, and then actually pivoting over into the CrossFit world. Now, as always, if you're looking to connect with Jordan, I'm going to leave his Instagram below. I'm going to leave the link to where his CrossFit box is, because you may be interested in joining that, because he's one of the good guys to follow on Instagram from a coaching perspective anyway. So if you're new around here, first of all, welcome. I release episodes every Monday and Thursday at 6 a.m. I've done this for the last couple of years, and I continue to do this for the next couple of years, at least. But I need a favour from you, and I know if you are new, you don't know me, but if there's one thing you can do for me, that would be leave a little rating on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this. If you're watching on YouTube, consider subscribing, or leave a little comment below, or just like the video. Do all three, it's up to you. At the end of the day, this is the best way to support this little podcast I've got going, so it would mean the world to me. Feed my ego and all that good stuff as well, of course. So without further ado, enjoy today's episode, and if you've got any questions and you're watching on Spotify, comment below. We'll answer them. Maybe we'll bring Jordan back on to answer some of the questions that you may have for him that I might not have asked. So until next time, see you guys soon.
Aye.
You should get back to it. There's a studio here if you fancy it.
Yeah, I know. Exactly.
Right, so
choice.
First things first, congratulations in order. So you're a married man now.
Yes,
How
mate.
does that feel?
No different.
Nah?
No different. It's been fun. It's been chaotic since the start, since it was all happening. But it's been good.
So
in fact, before I was leaving, I was telling Katie I'm coming here, and she's like, "Fucking put that on." Just make sure
You need to get one of these, mate. So you need to get one of these rubber ones. They are the best things for lifting, right?
Yeah.
So I stupidly, when I get married, I bought one of those Aura rings, and I was like, that's fitness. I'm going to do it.
I actually mentioned that.
Scratch to fuck, mate. It was black, and it was like silver by the end of it, and it's like £700 ring or 500 quid ring for what it is. These are like 11 quid off Amazon.
Yeah,
they're brilliant.
That's the thing. So I don't rarely wear it, but I wear it, and then when I go to the gym, I'm like, well, I need to take this off, and then when I take it off, I feel I don't want to lose it, because that'll happen. I will lose it if I just keep taking it off and on and off and on. So I'm a wee bit paranoid about it. So I might end up getting one of them. So
I've got my actual wedding ring. Yeah. I think I've wore it 5 times.
Really?
We've been married to. So it's like a special occasion. Jill's like, you got your good ring on? And I'm like, aye. So.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I might go for something like that, but I don't know.
Yeah. So you've been together for a while, yeah?
Aye, I think it will be 10 years this month.
Love that.
I think 9 or 10 years this month. Yeah,
awesome.
So it's been...
It's a rare thing kind of these days, like longer relationships and that.
I think so. It's mad it doesn't actually feel like that. I can remember it clearly. It just feels like the past 10 years has just flew in so quickly. So much has happened. So
quite scary, isn't it?
Aye, it's a bit mad. So it's nuts. It is nuts. It makes me feel old when I say that. Was it? No, it must be 9. Because I'm 30 this year, and I think it was round about. No, it probably was 10 years. I don't know.
So he's met when you're 20, 21.
I think so. No, it was my 21st birthday. I remember it was just before that. So, because she took me to the World Cup when it was in England, the Rugby World Cup when it was in England. So, it must have been about then.
Aye, so managed to lock somebody down then.
Lock somebody down, and she managed to lock me down more.
Is the other way about?
It's definitely the other way about. Aye.
Is she into fitness or anything like that? Does she do? I've heard you say she goes to the Pilates stuff.
Yeah, she goes. So she hits Pilates. She goes to that a lot. She's been training in the gym a lot more often since. It's just so easy and it's at her disposal, and it's all right with our wee one. We can just bring her in and just let her run about while Katie gets on with stuff. But we've kind of she's into fitness, but obviously not into it as like how we would be into it. I think she just does it because she knows that I enjoy it, if that makes sense. But when she goes and when she's consistent, she loves it. The chat. So she is into it, but maybe more so because of me than anything else.
No, good. So weddings, obviously, it's normally a big milestone, eh?
Yeah.
And the pressure, and I remember the pressure and the stress and the lead up to that. And it, not necessarily that it was stressful, it's just you're trying to plan for things and everything's like, oh, the wedding, we'll do that after the wedding. How's it feel now that you're married? Like, was there anything kind of holding it up?
Nah, not really. Like, we were actually meant to get married next year in Mallorca. We went over, found a venue, paid a nice healthy deposit, which I'll fucking never see again. And then for whatever reason, she just decided, I don't want to do it there anymore. I want to do it at home. And I want to do it this year instead of next year. And we're like, fucking, all right, cool. Whatever you want to do. Like, to be honest, I didn't really care. Not that I didn't care, I just that I wasn't fussed. Like, I would have liked it to be abroad and it's actually a blessing. I've got like 5 weddings next year, so if there was going to be a 6 abroad, everybody would be fucking freaking out because it's all the same friend group. Everybody's getting married in the same year, so it's actually a bit of a blessing with it this year. But now the fact that we have it out the way, there's still so much going on. Like, my best mate's getting married on Friday as well. And like, we had a honeymoon, then we had a holiday. Like, it's just been so. Yeah, so
you're still in the wedding season.
We're still in it. We're
just rotating that suit.
Yeah, we're still in it. Like, fucking, I thought this was last week. Yeah. That's when I messaged you. I thought this was last week. And I was like, mate, I'm like on holiday. Like, I've got shit going on. So, it's we're still in it. So maybe if you ask me that question, like in a couple of weeks, I might find that things are a bit better now.
No, good. So you're also a father as well.
Yes.
What's life like as
it's class.
A father? Yeah,
it's literally the best thing ever. Yeah. I would highly recommend.
Yeah.
It's honestly, it's fucking. I was actually having this conversation with one of my mates the other day, and I think that if it was still my choice, I probably wouldn't be a dad still now. Like, if it wasn't, not that it was kind of just happened, and we can get into that if you want. It kind of just happened by fate or whatever you want to call it, but it would probably like not be my first port of call. I'd be like business. I want to get train hard. I still want to focus on all those things, but it's actually been an addition to business. It's been an addition to my fitness. It's been an addition to everything rather than a subtraction, which a lot of people think.
Yeah, it's really interesting because you think, life's over when you have a kid because you need to raise a newborn and stuff like that. Yeah, like,
we've not been on holidays. We've not lived our life. We've not felt the financial burden, because I'm sure some people can do, but I think that like when a stress, because that's what it is, gets added like that into your life, an extra thing, like you can view it as a good thing, or you can view it as like this is so hard being XYZ.
Yeah, I think you believe it's a testament to how strong you are as a couple as well, being able to manage that.
I think so. I think having having a dog actually helps assign your roles within, even though it's a different thing, it's still a living creature that requires attention. And I actually said this a lot, that when we got Bear, our dog, as a puppy, he was harder work than Hattie as a baby.
So I was going to ask you, there's that 100%. Controversial thing in TikTok, it's like raising a dog is harder than raising a kid.
Like, training Bear as a puppy was harder than dealing with Hattie. Like, that was a breed. I swear to God. Like, and people would be like, it's so fucking, like, no. Like, maybe my dog's just mental, I don't know. But like, fucking, when a baby shits itself, it's contained, it's within a nappy, there's the odd explosion, but it's manageable. Yeah. When you've got a puppy in a crate and there's shit everywhere, that's a different chaos. Fucking kettle of fish. Now, don't get me wrong, there was hard bits, like I remember Bear got unwell and there was fucking shit all over the living room. Sorry to be vulgar. We're fucking getting right into it. Yeah. And same with Hattie, there's just fucking and then I remember saying to people when I was actually putting on my stories, was like the amount of, like, people say they've got a lot of shit on their plate. Like, I literally had so much shit to deal with, like, in one day. It was crazy, including my own. It was just fucking a bit too much. So don't guys, I'm not saying it's easy, but I think that when you're a couple and you've been together a while and you do the whole thing where you get like a house or you move in together and you get a dog or you get a pet, you kind of assign your roles as like, you know, who's the one that feeds them more often. Like, Katie will always put the dog's food out, whereas I'm always doing the walking or doing the whatever. So you kind of like,
find the balance.
You find your roles, and then when a real life human comes in, it just happens. Like, you don't get taught it. There's no books. It's like,
were you scared?
Yes, I was. I was up until it like happened, and then after it happened, it was like you don't really think.
I hear so many parents talk about that. It's like you try and prep yourself, and it's just there's tons of like information. You're reading tons of books, and it can be so overwhelming. Then it gets to like the date, and it's just natural. It just becomes like this natural instinct that you have.
You know, like you just know what to do, and especially women. Like, it's actually trippy to like look and see how the whole mother daughter or son bond just forms like so quickly. Like it's, you look at it and you're kind of like, whoa, like Mother Nature really does, like they just react off their instincts and the baby knows off its instincts. It's mad. Like I remember when we were walking out so we had to leave Hattie in the hospital because she had jaundice when she was born. So we're not like
really?
Yellow. Yeah.
I just literally done an interview with I don't know if you saw my stories, a guy called Big Mikey.
The big guy, yeah, with the tattoos,
and he's talking about the story when his son was born, Ragnar. Exact same thing.
It's super common. Like it's mad common in babies, like for them to get born like that. And I think with the treatment and the advancements of medicine and stuff like that, it's a lot easier handled. But she had to stay in like a wee incubator for like a day or whatever. And
is it heartbreaking to see
it
that?
Was tough. That was really tough for her, because obviously you just give birth to this thing and then you're like, you need to leave it for a day. So we actually had to go home with we went home and then we had to bring her back in and then we had to go home without her and then had to go back in. So it was a lot. So you're in this room and the thing is, like, I remember speaking about this actually when it happened, and like perspective is like a mad thing, because I felt okay because I knew the kind of risks that were involved or lack of risks with what she was dealing with at the time. I knew it'd be absolutely fine. You're in a ward like the NICU or what do you call it again? I can't remember. It's NICU. It's an acronym for something, but you're in a ward with all these babies basically, and they're like fucking really premature or they've got something seriously wrong with them. And I'm like, I know my daughter's fine, whereas a lot of these babies aren't. So there's like a bit of perspective comes into play. It's like, yeah, I get to go home. Oh, I have to go home. That sucks. But it's like some of these kids fucking might not make it. It's pretty dark like that. And as we were walking out the room, there's all these babies making all these noises, crying, cooing and all that. And then one baby starts crying and I don't really pay attention to it. And we're at the edge of the door and Kate turns around and goes, oh, that's Hattie. I'm like, what are you talking about? No, it's not. And then you see a nurse go over and like attend to her and I'm like, holy shit. Like, wow. So they're just that mother nature thing's just like such a real thing, and it's trippy when you see it and you witness it, and it's like, it is mad. But being a dad's cool. It's sick. I love it, man.
So go through your story. So that is she 2, 3?
2.5. 2.5. She's come 3 in January.
So your kind of life growing up, from what I've heard, is like interested in fitness, done a bit of rugby side of things, tried to pack on some size, and then is it as simple as I went into the gym and I was like, man, I love this shit, I'm going to become a PT? Or like what was like your young aspirations or the younger you's aspirations? No,
I always wanted to work in sports. Like I wanted to be like a sports scientist because that's what you think is going to make the most money when you're in school and anything to do with sports.
Skateboarder as well, sorry, I missed that one.
Exactly, yes. That's probably the thing I was the best at and then stopped it. So I think I wanted to be involved in sports somehow, and then wasn't too savvy in school. I say I wasn't too savvy, I just didn't really like school or pay much attention to it.
Where did you grow up?
East Kilbride. Grew up in East Kilbride. So I wasn't too like whatever in school, and you needed to get enough qualifications to go and do the thing. So I went and done the college thing and did all my personal training stuff kind of as an extension of your college, which was a kind of
sports
option back then. It was sports coaching development of sport, I think it was called. I ended up packing that in anyway, like, so I didn't even complete my second year and just got a job in sales and just kind of went, you know what, let me just go down the corporate route, because I was just focused on, like, I want to just make money. Like, I didn't really care what I did at that point. Like, I was kind of like, that shit's over, like, whatever, it's fine. And then I realised, like, I just didn't like it. Like, I was like, and I was in a great job. Like, I was in a job that people would aspire to probably want to do in a company they would want to do it with. Like, I was in a good spot and I was just like, I don't like it. Changed it to work for a fucking shitter company doing a shitter role because I thought I'd maybe change sectors and that would be something a bit more exciting. Wasn't. Fucking hated that. And I thought,
what is it you don't like it? Is it like office based, sitting behind the computer on the phones? Like,
it's funny because I spend so much time on my computer and on a phone speaking to people anyway. I actually thank the job that I'd done, which was like sales. At the time I worked in a warehouse first and then I went and did sales for a pharmaceutical company, and like I was required to make 100, 150, 200 calls a day to some people that wanted stuff, but some people that didn't want stuff and weren't interested in you. So like just that volume of like speaking to people, fucking phone calls, rejection, like fucking for 9 hours, 10 hours a day, every single day. Like it builds like a layer of skin that you can't get. So I think I had like a bit of a advantage when I kind of transitioned into the PT thing, because I wasn't scared to talk to people, go up to people, like
you had people skills, communication
engage
skills,
with them, exactly. Like, so it did give me so many skills that I think that if someone's getting into the game today, they just won't have it, or it'll take them a very, very, very long time in order to get. I was kind of lucky that way.
So at that time, do you think it was that bit that you didn't like, but in hindsight,
like it wasn't that. I just think I wanted to do something myself, because I had Gainline, the company, kind of set up, not the company, but I had the idea of it set up when I was in college with two of my mates from college, who I still kind of speak to today. Sorry, man, I'm burping. I had my breakfast before I came here.
And then putting the caffeine down as well.
And the caffeine, exactly. Excuse me. So like I created Gainline like back then, and I had an idea. It's obviously shifted and
what
changed.
was the idea then? So I'm curious.
The idea then was to create an online training platform for athletes specific to their sport.
Right.
So we create like a football program, we create a netball program, we create a hockey program, we create like a team sport program, and try and give like a professional S&C vibe to like grassroots club level sports, if that makes sense. Because I remember when I first started playing rugby, and you would kind of climb through the ranks, and you would get a bit older and you see these bigger guys in the gym, and you'd be like, right, what did I do in the gym? And they'd be like, oh, here's a program that was like written up on chalk on the wall, that was like
bodybuilding split.
Yeah, it was like, and again, it wasn't a bad program, but it was just like, here's something that's been up on the wall for 20 years, just
it's total
that.
Guesswork. Like, say, it's quite surprising. Obviously it's more advanced in this day and age, but even I'm still surprised at things like martial arts and fighting and all that, like how little is paid attention to the strength and conditioning aspect. Yeah,
and people have their like weird, when it comes to sport, people have their weird and wacky ways that they think that they have to do things, and they pure change it.
It's
you have
basics,
to do,
man.
or this sports specifics is mad. So like we kind of wanted to, and then the one of the lads that I was doing it with, Craig, he was called Tank. We called him Tank back then, so you can imagine just with his name what he kind of looked like. He was like the brains behind that in terms of the programming standpoint, and he went off to uni and done all that. In fact, he actually went to uni with Sam Allen.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Right, okay, yeah.
So I went to college with Sam.
Yeah.
I don't know if I told you that before.
You honestly must have just missed each other at Motherwell College.
No, Cumbernauld.
Oh, was it Cumbernauld?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe Sam.
So Sam went to Cumbernauld College when I was there for 2 years, and then I don't know if he went there.
I think he went to Motherwell
or after, and then he went to uni in Dundee.
Got you.
With my mate Craig, and I was going to do that uni course after the HND,
right?
And then that's when I decided to get a job and all that sort of stuff. So anyway, so we were going to do this thing together, and it was just about providing like a training program for something that was relatively sports specific, but like a fraction of the cost. Like for 20 quid a month, you just get this program, and you know, we can do it for clubs, we can do it for teams, we can do it for individuals. And it was actually a program that I followed way back in the day, and it was like a rugby thing, and it was the first ever program I bought. I remember buying, and I can't remember the name of it, but they were based in Wales. It was kind of this mix between, it came from a CrossFit gym, but it was rugby players that done it, and they had like a kind of upper lower split. This is when teams train on a Tuesday, or Thursday, Saturday, and it was kind of like I followed that program for ages and paid like a tenner a month to doing it, and I went, I can do this, like I want to do this, and that just interested me, and I think that's just what started the kind of evolution of like what Gainline was, and planted the seed. And
where did the name Gainline come from? Is that just from the rugby world?
So Gainline's a rugby specific term. So let me try and explain this in simplest terms. So essentially you've got the attack. Say in American football, when you say like the 10-yard line, that's probably the best way. That in rugby is like the gain line.
Right.
So you see that defensive line when someone's been tackled, and there's a kind of, I can tell I'm a bit rusty in my rugby explanations here. But there's that line, right, where the defensive line will set up, and if that's called the gain line. And essentially where the kind of objective is to, you'll hear it a lot in commentaries, like they broke through the gain line or blah.
So it's about the power, the strength and all that.
Yeah, so then I thought it kind of tied in well with like strength and conditioning, gain line strength. So I quite liked.
Do you know, I thought it was your surname. I actually did think.
I know,
that was
Jordan
like
Gainline, I know. I fucking imagine that for a surname, I know. You're probably not the only person that's thought that. It used to be Jordan Green coach, and then I was like, Jordan Gainline makes sense, because my name is Jordan Green.
People know, hey.
Exactly, it makes a bit of sense. So that's where it's a rugby specific term. So if you play rugby, you'll know.
It's mad. So that idea is what age are you here? Like 18, 19-ish?
I was probably about 19, 18.
Aye, so that idea's like there.
Yeah.
And then from what I understand, which we'll get into, as the evolution of that's came through, that only comes to like more fruition in your mid to late 20s then.
Yeah, like it's weird because I remember when I started it and like fucking went on Wix, made a website, I had the Facebook page and all that, and
getting hyped.
Yeah, like had made the email and all that, and I can go back and I think it was 2015 or 2016 when I kind of came up with it, and then it kind of died, and I tried to do the whole Jordan online coach thing.
Why did it die? Was it just because the other two kind of, did everyone just start going their own separate ways?
Yeah, people went their separate ways. I tried to make it kind of happen, and then there's kind of been different iterations of it, and then I tried to bring it back, and so when I brought it back, and it's actually I tried to bring it back and then create more of like a kind of gym-based version of it. So instead of it being applicable to sports, it was like there was Gainline Engine if you want to do fitness, Gainline Peach if you're a girl, and Gainline Strength.
So different pillars. Yeah.
So the kind of different pillars, and wanted to try and get coaches in to do that, and then did that for a little bit, and then I thought, do you know what? That's not working, so let me go back to Jordan Online Coach again, and then now it's kind of stemmed into the gym.
Where
so
it is
hopefully
now,
that works.
Fascinating.
But there's been plenty. I've just not gave up. I've tried something, kept trying. It didn't really work for whatever reason. And to be honest, that reason was probably just me, to be honest, not being as consistent with it or actually having a plan.
Yeah.
Just more so let me try that. And then now we're in the phase of it where it's like a gym, and we're here and we're doing it.
It gives you also more opportunities to play about with it. And
yeah, exactly.
Kind of refine some of the stuff.
I feel like the final form of it we've got is the one that makes sense and that works.
Good. So like the resilience to not give up, like would you consider yourself that was always someone that was very driven, or is that something that you just naturally felt you became more passionate as you got into this world of sport and lifting?
I don't know if I was always driven. I'd like to think I was, but looking back, I probably wasn't. I'd like the idea of being that, but I just wasn't, if that makes sense. I just always knew that I didn't want to live someone else's dream, if that makes sense. So like, I didn't want to be a part of someone else's brand.
That makes sense why you've kind of aspiration to do your own thing, but why you didn't stick around in corporate businesses as much.
It's like I didn't want to, because that's the thing. I remember sitting down and being like, I don't care, like almost what it is I do. Is like, if it's mine, I'll care more. Because the thing is as well, the mad thing, and I say this all the time, like I actually probably don't work as hard, and I work less now, which makes not much sense, like trying to open a gym. And don't get me wrong, there's obviously been spells of really, really hard work and hard graft and long nights trying to get it in, but I've worked harder in a warehouse, like for 10 hours a day. I've worked harder as a delivery driver. Do you know what I mean? That's harder work to do. So I think it's just like, well, why would I do that for whatever? Do you know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense when it actually requires less effort to do your own thing and be more successful at doing that.
Yeah, no, I can relate a lot, because I done something similar, except my spell in the corporate space wasn't a couple of years, it was 9. I only came into PT 3 years ago.
Is that right?
So I'm still mad. Fairly new, but throughout that whole time it's been like a side hustle and all this different thing.
Right, so you've had that as part of
so it's been like, you know what it's like, you're the fit guy in the office and people are hearing, oh, you at the gym this morning? How do I get in the gym? You make 60 a week splits for someone who's never been to the gym. I'm listening to podcasts and all this sort of stuff. So that's how that evolved, and it just got to that point when I was like, you know what, I want to do my thing. What's your relationship like with your mum and dad?
With mum and dad, it's good.
Yeah.
It's class. Aye. I think that as I've got older, the relationships got better, if that makes sense. I remember like being 18 and all that and being like, this is fucking shit. Yeah, rebellious. Let me get
You got brothers or sisters?
I've got a wee brother.
Right.
I've got a wee brother. And we were probably both the same, and just like, we are hard to fucking deal with. Do you know what I mean? Me and my wee brother, we are hard to deal with. So
boys will be boys.
Exactly. The fact that my mum done it, and my dad or my stepdad, he works offshore, so he's away for 2-3 weeks at a time and then comes back. So it's just my mum that's having to deal with us fucking too. When me and him at the time as well, squabbling and all that, just being brothers. But as we've got older, everything's just great. And as Hattie's came on, and my wee brother lives in London now, so I don't see him as much, but when he's up, it's like it's class and it's amazing. So as we've all got older, like the relationship's just got I've got amazing. And she's so good with Hattie as well. Like the fact that, you know, my mum's able to look after Hattie and Katie's mum's able to look after Hattie, like it just takes so much off our plate as well sometimes. And that's probably testament as to why, like I say, that having the baby thing's easy. It's because we have the support systems here that allows that to happen. Like I've got friends whose parents don't live here. So that just instantly just chops your childcare potential in half. And then if the other one is in fact, one of my mates, both sets of parents with their kids don't live anywhere near where they stay. So it's like for them to even go out and get a slice of pizza, it's like, fuck, they've got the baby, they've got the pets, they've got everything. So it's actually quite a hard thing to do. So I'm lucky that way. So it couldn't be better.
Oh, good. So is your mum and dad split up?
So I don't really know any part of like my dad's side, if that makes sense. My original, on my birth father's side, don't really know anything to do with that, if that makes sense. So my stepdad is my dad, if that makes sense. I like that. Like for me, my little brother. So that's just always what he's been.
You ever wanted to like go down that rabbit hole? Or is it just not something that interests you?
Like I've honestly never really cared. It fucking winds Katie up, man. She's like, don't you just want to know? And I'm like, nah. And me and my brother the same. Like we're just like, nah, what difference does it make? It doesn't change anything. Like I'm me, my brother's him. Like it doesn't matter. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I like that. So see, when you're going through your spell, like when you come away from college, so the initial dream's born, is there pressure from like outside in, whether it's parents, friends, family? Because at that age you see people start getting jobs and people are buying their own stuff, and was that what moved you into that world, to make money and start earning money?
To move into the corporate world? Yeah, I think it's just because that's what you do. You get a good job, you know, you get a nice car, you get a house, you get whatever. And those are the things that's what you're meant to do. So I was like, well, I'll do that. And
were you materialistic or anything like that at that point?
When I was younger, definitely was more, 100%.
Influenced by friends?
Nah, not even that. I don't know. I just like nice things. Do you know what I mean? Who doesn't? Who doesn't fucking like nice things? And I say that, and I'm in a fucking pair of gym shorts, shoes I've had for 18 months that I've got paint on them. Like, I
think that's natural evolution. I think we start like, I like nice things. It's like, I could buy that t-shirt, or I could buy another dumbbell for the gym.
Yeah, exactly. Like the only clothes I buy now are fucking merch for the gym, and like I've got paint on my shoes, and fucking I've got breakfast on my hoodie. So it's kind of, I went full circle. I went back to being a Jake again. But I was definitely when I was younger, and I'm still somewhat a little bit motivated by that now. Like who doesn't want to have nice things? Nice things are nice to have, but it's not my main focus, if that makes sense. I'm in this weird spot between like, I actually don't think my life could get any better than now, to there's so much more. Like I live like in either mode where I'm like, this is class, I love my life, like I can't get any better.
I'm very curious about this, because everybody in a social media point of view, you're always chasing the next thing. It's always the next level. You graft at something, and then, like for example, you want to be a PT. Oh, my dream's to be a PT. You become a PT, and it's like, right, what's next? I want to get my own gym. Right, what's next? The next gym, so on and so forth. And I've I don't know if it's just turning 30, mate. I turned 30 last year. Became really aware of my mortality. Like I was like, wow, man, like my 20s. Like that, man. I'm looking back at it. I've been with Jillian for 13 years.
13?
Yeah, so we were. No, sorry, I'm butchering that. 12 years, coming up 13. Yeah. It was guys, man. We're getting ourselves into trouble. And I was like, wow, it feels so long, but it also feels so fast.
Yes.
And especially when I got the gym, I was wishing certain things doing that, but I've had to bring myself back and go, you know what? Fucking actually love my life. Got a house, got my dog. Next thing for us will be a family and things like that. Jill's quit her job, she works with me. It honestly is my dream life, and I'm like, I would dream about this when I was younger. Man. And I've said this many times in the podcast. I had someone hire out the studio, and he said, can I bring my son up? His son was 10. And I was like, yeah, bring him up. He came in to record, and he's like, oh, I'm really into the gym. And he's walking about and he's in awe, and he's like, this is like the Batman cave. It must be so cool to have your own gym. And I was
it fucking
"What,
is,
mate?
innit?
It fucking is, man. It absolutely is so class."
You're right.
So
you're
what's your experience been like? Have you found yourself like wishing away parts of your life, or when you kind of became a father, did that kind of make you aware of your?
I don't think that anyone, I could be wrong, but I don't think that anyone will ever totally live in one area or one zone. So I think that if you're constantly living in like fucking, oh, I'm so happy, everything's so great, like that's not real life. Do you know what I mean? The more the kind of, it's quite cliche and all that and typical fucking kind of podcast chat, but like the higher things are, there's also the total opposite of the lower things are. You know, when you get fucking bills that you're like, shit, like I don't know.
You need to pay a water bill?
Exactly.
Water
fucking thought what was free here, and you know, fucking electricity, and you
paying for bins. That was that blew my mind.
Yeah, like, and then there's so that, you know, the highs, the lows, like it all kind of comes into it, and I think that you have to. What I've came to realize for myself is that you have to live in both. You can't live solely in like, let's get more, and you can't just live in fucking doo-doo land being like, my life is so great, I have a gym and I'm the best. Like, you have to have the two. You have to appreciate the fruits of your labour, but then you also have to do the labour. You also have to fucking do the work, do the graft, because this just didn't happen.
I don't think you would enjoy the appreciation of it if it's just kind of given to you, you know what I mean? Or it's just you're born into it or whatever.
Exactly. So you have to, I think that because of the work you've put in, you're able to enjoy that. If you didn't put in the work, you wouldn't have anything to enjoy. Do you know what I mean? So I think that you have to live between the two. And then I find myself like ping-ponging between like, my life is perfect and it can't get any better, to being like, I could do with, you know, a bigger house, I could do with a bigger gym, I could do with more equipment, I could do with more clients, like I could do with having more podcast episodes. Like you can, you know what I mean? Like you constantly have this kind of backwards and forwards between the two, and I think that is the place we're meant to be. If that makes sense.
Oh yeah, that's a good answer, good spot on. I think the trouble I have with it now, it's like I keep finding myself like, right, I want to have this, and I'm like, but why? Like, I've got this, and that's the thing, is try to find the balance, because I think you do need to be. No, necessarily, I don't like the word striving forward or anything like that, but you need to be doing something that's filling you.
Yeah, you can't.
You got a purpose, and
exactly, like, because
fulfillment.
Like now, what, like, oh, you've got the gym, you know, you've got the kit sorted, you've got the podcast studio looking good. So it's like, what, you're going to just fucking
what's next?
Do nothing now? Like, no, you're gonna do something. And then if someone came in and be like, I want to buy all this from you, and gave you some magical number, and you were like, fuck it, do you know what? Yeah, let me sell it. You would probably find yourself back to square one and something else, whether it be fitness again, but you would probably just go through the exact same process.
Yeah, it'll just be
again,
different level, or maybe even the same.
Exactly, like, because it's not all we know, but like for the past 3 years, this has been something that you've just literally dedicated your whole entire life to. So, and if it, like, you're not just gonna stop doing it, like, that would be
silly.
Weird. Yeah, I think that would actually drive you to things like fucking depression, or like feeling depressed, or like if you just stopped
funding an ayahuasca trip or something like that, I need to find myself again.
Yeah, exactly. You'll fucking end up being some sort of weirdo, just being like not knowing what to do with your life. So I think the fact that, like, the more you do, the more you realise you can do, and the more that you realise that there's opportunity to do.
Oh, absolutely.
If that makes sense. So I think that we're in the right spot, I think.
Good. So speaking of opportunity, then back to like your whole evolution of your journey. When do you start working in a gym? Like, how does that come about? Do you just go, are you working out at a gym? You're like, I love doing this, I want to get my...
So I was working in this fucking shite job I just hated, and I just thought, you know what, I'm going to do nothing here. So I remember I handed in my notice, and then, like, with no plan B, I was like, well, there you go. And then they were like, do you know what, just leave the now. And I was like, sick. I was like, no bother. So see you later on. Fucking, there's my phone, there's my keys, whatever. See you later. And then so I had like 2 weeks to be like, fuck it, I need to figure out what I'm going to do. Otherwise, because I don't have another paycheck coming in. Like, I know I'm getting paid in 2 weeks' time.
Where are you at this point, living at home? What's the situation there?
I'm living at home still. Yeah, am I living at home? I'm living at home still. Can't remember how old I was. It was pre-COVID anyway. It was like maybe a year or two before COVID, I'm sure. And I am just like, fuck, I need to figure something out. So the role that I was doing at the time, I was an operations manager, and just by chance, a gym at the other end, like it was an Everlast gym, like 5 minutes from my house, was recruiting for an operations manager, and I was like, I know gyms had operations managers. I'm like, I like gym, I do that role.
Aye. Sure, it's a good blend, yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame it's for like fucking £4 an hour or something like that. The pay was horrendous. Like it was literally like I was
operation manager normally paid like reasonably well.
Yeah, I was literally like halving my pay going and taking this job, but I was like, fuck it, it's in a gym. So I went and then met the general manager at the time, Andy, who I'm still kind of pally with today. He's moved on and he still works in the kind of fitness space, but he works for like a health club now as a general manager. And met him, and we just got on right away, and we were just chatting, and then that was such a good job. Like I loved it, and the people that I worked with as well, like me and Andy had a great time, and there was a couple other folk that I worked in there as well that again I'll still chat to every now and then or through Instagram or whatever.
What was your role in that? Was it just purely like get the gym profitable, or was it?
I did fuck all. I can comfortably say I did absolutely fucking nothing.
There's your reason why it's £4 an hour.
My shift was fucking for the most part was 5:30 till 2. I think was it 5 or 5:30? No, I think we were in for 5, opening for 6. Till about 2 o'clock for the most part. I was in control of the rota, control of like the front of house staff. I'd have to maybe, help some of the front of house staff clean up some kit. I'd maybe have some sales things to do, but I wasn't the sales manager, but it was fucking easy for me to do because people would come in. I knew a lot of people that came to the gym anyway because
just normal banter.
Just fucking chat. It was a fucking great job. If that paid well, I would probably still be doing it because I loved it. It was class, and it comes with all the fucking. There's so much bullshit with like the regional managers and like the corporate gym world. That the corporate side of the gym industry, the commercial gym industry is fucking. It's pretty fried. Yeah, like it's so weird. So many people are in it who have like literally never been to a gym in their lives.
That blows my mind because it's a numbers game. It becomes more. How does this business become profitable? Yeah, like the roots of what we are as PTs to help people transform their lives through health and fitness by lifting weights.
Yeah, like it's just so many people have jobs so high up in these industries. They're so out of touch with what health and fitness is about and what's going on and what people actually want and how it's
corporate companies across the board though, because that was the same in the job. Like the higher up you went, I was like, why is this getting so political? Like these are moving, like you just have no idea what's going on in the front line and like people walking through the doors of the business. What the fuck?
Exactly, and I think that's what kind of got me thinking when I was in there. I was like,
is this my life?
The people who are like above me are, for lack of a better term, fucking idiots. Like they really were. Like, and they've got these fucking, they're going across the country doing all these regional sales manager roles and all that. And I was like, again, they weren't even making that much money. And I'm like, is this it? It's like, if I have to work up in this, or I get the general manager role, which wasn't that much more money than what I was getting now, but like 10x the responsibility. Like I literally had the perfect role because like if shit was going wrong, I was like, I'm not the general manager, mate. Like I'm just the wee operations guy. I don't really know. But I was like, if these fucking idiots can like be in control of like the biggest the biggest gyms in the UK or the biggest chains in the UK, it's like I'm pretty sure I could fucking do it myself. Do you know what I mean? So then I worked in there, and so I wasn't even a personal trainer. I was just like working in the gym, doing the kind of businessy side of it, if you want to even call it that. And then because the gym was so easy, I would just be like, let me just fucking PT some of my mates during my shift, like just people who want to come into the gym who are members. I was like, yeah, do you want to fucking come in? I'll just take you for a wee session, whatever, blah, blah, blah. That caused a bit of conflict with some of the PTs and that in there, but I didn't really fucking care. I was like, what are you going to do? Fucking tell on me? Like, what the fuck? So I done that for a bit, and then that's about the time I started getting involved with CrossFit and wanted to go to CrossFit and stuff like that. And then pretty quickly into my kind of CrossFit
coaching
thing, I was like, you know what, let me get my level 1 and let me do this, because I really actually want to be, I kind of want to coach CrossFit. Started going to the classes and stuff like that, and I was like, I love this. Like, I would do this as a job. What was
your training like up until then? Like, who are you learning from? Are you still in the sport world looking at athletes, or did you start getting caught up in influencer bodybuilders and stuff like that?
No, I think by that point I'd completely changed. So when I first started training, actually, the person who taught me how to lift was my maths teacher.
What?
I don't know if I've maybe said this in an old podcast before. It was my maths teacher, right, Mr. Marsden. A few people from East Kilbride will know who Mr. Marsden is. He was fucking jacked. Right, jacked, like so fucking jacked. And I remember being in like fucking third or fourth year, being like, it's fucking massive. And like me and my mate Kyle, like, I mean, start going to the gym. That's the whole Ziz era and all that. And we're like, let's do the whole bodybuilding vibe. So going to Nuffield, and then fucking, I'm like, it's fucking Mr. Marsden. After work, like being after school, he's in the fucking gym. So he was like 16 or whatever. And I'd already been going to the gym since I was like 12, 13, 14, but not knowing what I'm doing. Curling fives, doing some press-ups or whatever. And then, so I was doing that same routine, curling fives, doing press-ups, doing lat pull-downs, doing leg extensions. That would be the only exercises I'd do. And we were just like chatting to him, because he was sound, he was brand new. I was chatting to him, he was like, what's happening, what's training the day?
Must have been like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Nah, because the thing is, it actually wasn't. And then as I got a bit older and as I left school, he was still training that gym, I was still training that gym, and we actually became training partners.
That's cool.
It sounds, it's weird to say. It sounds like there was a kind of grooming situation going on. And I'll get into this as well, because I actually ended up going on his stag do.
Oh, right, so you became really good friends.
So we actually became like
it's
really
like a
good.
Philip Schofield type of.
Yeah, like people think, like when I tell people that story, they're like, wait a minute, so your training partner in the gym was your maths teacher and you ended up going on his stag do. Like, it seems a bit odd because they're all like fucking in their mid-20s and I was like 18. So it does seem weird, but it was fucking, he taught me how to lift. He was like, the first program I done was like a Dorian Yates, what was that called again? It was like the old bodybuilding.com program. It's like a Dorian Yates program. Blood and Guts, I think it was called. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
The back in like the Steve Cook,
just max out everything,
big man on campus days, like all that type of shit. So that was my first element of training. And then I would just like read articles on bodybuilding.com and T Nation. Like, that was our TikTok back then. That's how we.
Crazy, isn't it? Like,
mate, you actually got good information back then. You actually did.
Because you couldn't just throw up a wee shitty video and see where it goes, and it wasn't
exactly. Like, yeah, we're actually learning from people who were like quote unquote credible. Do you know what I mean?
Aye, so it's massively evolved since then.
Yeah, it really has. Like, I think there's actually, like, when at the time when information was harder to get, it was better. Whereas now information's easier to get. You're like, you don't know what to listen to. Everyone's telling you eat off a wooden fucking chopping boards and all that, and like,
it's too much. It becomes too much.
It's a bit mad. But that was like my first sort of into it, and then I was still playing rugby at the time, and there was an NFL combine program that bodybuilding.com did. So that was my first sort of like athletic like program. Let me do that, like better a 40-meter dash and like jumping high and bench
plyometrics and all this sort of stuff.
Shit. So that, then I just started watching like the CrossFit documentaries, and that's, so quite early on I was doing like more functional style of training. I was basically doing CrossFit without calling it CrossFit.
The label.
Because I didn't want to tell people I was doing CrossFit because it was still quite taboo back then. And I was like, I'm not fucking doing that. And I actually remember when CrossFit East Kilbride first opened, I went down on their opening day with Mr. Marsden, Big Dave, went with him and we did like a big leg session. And at the time, like, I was young and like there was not that many kids that could like say deadlift like 150, 160 back then. And I was like fucking 60 kilos or something like that. And he was like, oh, fucking, that's quite good. You should come to some of the classes. I was like, oh, how much is it? And I was like, 55 quid. I was like, oh, fuck that, man. I was like, I'm not going to that. I was like, if I cut the grass at my dad's house, at my mum and dad's house and my grand's house, my dad pays for my Nuffield membership. So I'm like, I'm not paying 55 quid. I'm skint. Like, I can't do that. So that's actually why I never started going, because I was just thought, this is too expensive. Now it's like fucking double the price if you want to join a CrossFit gym. But that was my kind of first into it, was like doing all these kind of hybrid programs back then.
Yeah,
obviously kind of
so you're doing your own thing, and then you circle back to PTing some friends,
PTing some mates,
doing all that sort of thing. And then when do you leave the Everlast unit to start PTing?
During COVID. So I started,
perfect time.
I know. I started taking, so I did my CrossFit level 1, and then I actually started taking some of the inductions for CrossFit whilst working in Everlast. So I was taking some of the classes and stuff like that, Everlast as well, for like, you would get paid like a wee bit extra if you wanted to do the class as well. So I'd do like some of the kind of like fitness classes. I would just make people do like EMOMs and AMRAPs and introducing them how to actually squat properly and all that, because they fucking, none of them could move. I was like, what the fuck do these instructors
what you've been doing?
Body
pump.
So then I started doing that, started getting a couple of clients, like people who would inquire with the gym looking for a personal trainer. So I actually got a couple of leads from the gym. So I was making kind of like good money at that point, having kind of basically 2 jobs. And then COVID hit, still sort of did, so I kept some of them, did some online stuff, kind of had like a little bit of a client base, was getting furloughed through the gym. And then I thought, right, I'm going to just fucking go all in on this online thing during COVID, and then was still taking like some online classes for CrossFit back then as well. So like I was.
What did they look like?
Mate, people just had like a dumbbell at home, and then you would just be like, "Fucking right, here's the workout, 3, 2, 1." Like just do it. And then sometimes I would do it with them. Sometimes I'd just fucking sit and watch and be like, "Come on."
It's we hype man on camera.
It was pure shite, but I actually kind of enjoyed it. But yeah, got to be able to train quite well through COVID and stuff like that, and just like documented my training, and that kind of like built up the thing. And I actually had like a kind of decent amount of clients at that time. So then when COVID was kind of reduced, I just didn't go back to Everlast, and was just full time kind of coaching CrossFit classes, having PT clients, and then the classes kind of reduced as my PT started to grow, and then yeah, never here.
Now, so you got your unit by working out in the East Kilbride CrossFit, is that, am I right in saying so?
Yeah, so basically the unit that I'm in just now was previously owned by Base,
right, by
the boys at Base, and they've been pivotal as well in like my coaching sort of like progress, because I remember when I first started, like when I would do an induction, the 2 of them would sit up the back of the room and just watch and be like, right, okay, that was good, but you shouldn't have done this, you shouldn't have done that, this is how you fix this is how you fix that. They were fucking like, it was solid. Like,
you're mentored.
It was hard to do. They were really on it, like, because they
got a high standard for them.
They valued coaching so highly. So if they were bringing someone on, they wanted to make sure they weren't just fucking having any old idiot making people move terribly, sort of thing. So that again was like that, combined with the fucking all the skills I learned in previous jobs, to like them being hard on me when I'm trying to fucking learn how to coach, and kind of really like escalated what I think like my skills were as a coach. So they would just sit and fucking.
How did you take feedback then? Was there ever a bit you're like, who the fuck do you think you're talking about? Or
nah, honestly, no, because like I respected their opinions, if that made sense. Like I was like a bit like shite to be told you're shite, but then like
yeah,
like what the fuck? Like I didn't expect to be good. Like, do you know what I mean? So it was actually probably the best thing for me, and it's the exact same model that I'm going to do with coaches that come on through Gainline. Is like, I've not been able to do it yet because any of the people that have been doing my classes help me out, Drew, Demi, James, like, because I've been away, so I've had to be like, guys, I trust you now, and they are good, and I get amazing feedback from all the clients. But I'm going to be doing the same thing and being like, you know what, here's what I would have done in order to kind of fix this.
That's class how that relationship then fostered. Yeah. So what was their script with that PT unit then? So did they had
their original gym. After COVID kind of happened, they just bought like a new place, which was at the other end of East Kilbride, and they had this second unit, which was very close to their original unit, and they ran like conditioning classes from there.
Right.
Then that kind of evolved into being just like a PT unit. So, you know, the coaches could use that space for PT, for inductions. They'd occasionally run a class from there. And I think that they were tied into like a lease for 3 or 5, maybe 5 years or whatever. And then as they were approaching the end of that lease, I just ran my PT business from there. I had like a good split between in-person clients and online clients, and I literally just lived in that wee unit, just fucking
basically was yours.
Yeah, I basically lived in that unit the full time, and I was definitely in there the most out of anyone. And just towards the end, they were like, look, we are not extending our lease here, like, but we wanted to let you know with like plenty advance, but like we know that you're busy, like, so if you want to like take it on and thing it, we can help tee up with the landlords and stuff like that. And
what does rent look like in the CrossFit world from like your standard gym boxes? It's usually like 500-600 quid. Is it the same?
In terms of like
being a
what
PT?
I was renting from them. Yeah. Actually, I had a decent rate from them. It wasn't crazy. It was like between £400 and £500 a month, right, which is cheaper than probably doing it from like a pure gym. Yeah. So I had like, the thing is as well, it comes with its negatives, because when you're first starting out, if you're saving yourself £100-200 a month, £300 a month in rent by training in a gym like that's private, you don't have thousands of people coming to the door. You have to have a client base. There's no
footpath at all.
There's literally the only people that come in there are the clients of the people that work there. Yeah. So it's got its positives, but I had like a good client base, so at the time when I transitioned in, it was easy for me to do. So they were like, look, you know, we'll be looking to sell all the kit in there, you know, kind of sell everything that we've got that's in there, and then obviously you can deal with the landlords and the lawyers and get rents and all that set up. The options there, you don't have to do it. But for me, there wasn't really an option to like continue working in their big gym. Yes, they've got 4 coaches, 5 coaches, 6 coaches that are in there that have their own PT businesses. So if I was to go back,
was it like a no-brainer then, or was it like, or were you thinking
it wasn't a no-brainer?
Were you like, did I just buy another place in myself? Or
nah, it wasn't a no-brainer. It was because I was in this middle bit of being like, do I go all in on being an online coach, or do I go all in and get a gym? Like, what do I do here? So I had to weigh up the pros and the cons and everything in it. In terms of like, do you want to, if I wanted to have a gym, like, yes, it's a no-brainer because like it's a fully functional gym right now. You know, all I need to do is just fucking make sure I've got enough dough to fucking to pay for it all. Which turned out to be a lot more than I thought it was going to be with the additions that you want to make. Like, you'll know, fucking, you think, like you price up a gym, like if I get like a wee rig and get some dumbbells, like it'll be this much.
Adds up massively.
But then you're like, fucking tin of paint, 5 tins of paint, fucking.
I had maybe, when I got this place or offered this place, I had £5,000 to my name, I think, in terms of savings. And I worked in a gym where the owner was very transparent at everything that he bought, and his build out for his gym was like £700,000. So I had that in my head, and I remember the boy Scott that sat me down and said, look, I've got this opportunity, do you want this space? I'm like, I can't run it, like there's JD's just open up. I was like, I can't make that a gym. And I was like, let me think about it. And I was like, you know what? I like the idea of a studio. I like the idea of like my space, a place where PTs can come and use as well. And I was like, I think I can make this work. And it just became, right, what can I finance?
Yeah, what can I do?
What can be done? And I was like, right, mats, painted black.
Yeah.
From there, I'll make it work.
Yeah,
I'll make it work.
Beg, borrow, steal. And the thing is, I think that if you truly want something and you work hard enough, like, you're not gonna not have it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not gonna not have it. So like, I think that if you truly care and you truly work as hard as you can, like, the universe just has a way of just like making shit happen.
So what was that like for you then? Were you put off at all by like what you had to pay out, all that sort of stuff?
I think that I've always done things kind of at the wrong time, if that makes sense. Like, and that's just made me realize that there is no right time to do things, because I was like, I don't have. Like, right now, I don't have the money to make all of this work right now. But I was like, well, let me put these things in place. Let me ask, let me finance, let me fucking, what are my options? What options do I have? Like, could I make this work? Could it be viable? And I think that a lot of people, when they see those hurdles or challenges, they'll be like, nah, it's not worth it, or it's not, the juice isn't worth the squeeze, or what if this happens, or what if that happens? Me and Katie are very opposite like that. Like, I'm the biggest risk. I like to think I'm a big risk taker, and she's very much like more calculated. She's like, are you sure we can do this? Are we sure you can do that? Like, even us just getting a new car, she was like freaking out at. She was like, oh, can we like, I'm just like, just fucking get it, we'll figure it out. Do you know what I mean? So it's definitely the balance to that, and the yin to that yang is like my crazy yang of just being like, fucking, let's do whatever. And she's like, no, let's actually think about what we're doing, because some of my actions have led to like some repercussions, like financially, like, do you know what I mean? Like, there has been risks that sometimes haven't paid off, but I think it's all lessons in it, and it's all part of it. So
yeah, you need to look at it that way though as well. Like, you can go down this, I know it's not something that's ingrained in you at all, but this whole like poor me victim sort of looks at, why is this, like, look at them with their box and stuff like that. It's like, no, like, that's it, I made a decision. It's just one that I now know going forward. Aye,
exactly. So I think, I don't know,
what would you do differently if you had, so fast forward to just now, you're still PTing in a gym, you get offered the space again, right? So you've had it for how long you had the space now?
4 months maybe.
Have you already learned lessons in that?
Big
of
time.
how, so what would you change if you had to get
Big
it
time.
now?
I think that there's a huge dynamic shift in terms of what you do to become, and I'm going to say it in inverted commas, a successful PT to a successful gym owner. They're two completely different things, and I was trying to take the same method and approach from PT into the gym, and it just doesn't work. The dynamic changes, like you're not you're not Jordan the coach, you're Jordan the gym owner. So like you're not just you're you plus the gym. There's two sort of identities there that then form. So people have their opinions on the gym, and then people have their opinions on you, good or bad or whatever. So like when you're communicating to people via the gym or as the gym, it's like it's a different thing. It's a different vehicle that you're using to try and get people through the door. So that is something that I didn't really consider. I just thought, it's a natural evolution of like, I'm me as the fucking coach. I know how to get clients through the door. Like it'll be the same when I get a gym, and it's actually not. It's completely different. So I was like, classes were quiet, and I was like, fucking hell. Like when I first opened, there was obviously a bit of hype, and then as that dust settles, you're like, fucking hell, why is there like 2 people booked into this class? Like, what do I need to do here? Like, yes, summer's fucking been involved and all that, and people have been on holidays and away and whatever else, but you're like, wait, this something's just like, I need to change something. I need to shift some gears here. I need to like put different systems in place. So like, I think that the only thing that would change is just my approach to just getting punters through the door. Yeah. That's the only thing. And I've still not totally figured that out, and we're by no means struggling. Like things are super busy and things are doing really, really well. I couldn't have asked for like a better start to this, but it's just different. You know
why choose it to run it as a class thing and not just keep it for PTing?
Because I want to grow the brand. I want to grow the Gainline brand. And that's not going to happen when I've got 6 PTs PTing their clients out there, and I'm unable to fulfill my service to its max or its true potential.
Because you can't get your standards across.
Exactly. I could get 4 PTs in there, right? 4 or 5 PTs, more PTs in there, and just run it as like a kind of wee personal training studio. And I could easily do that, and I could make okay money, and then cool, jobs are good, and I get to live my life. But I kind of want to grow the Gainline brand. I want that to be big. I want that to, because I've seen what other people have done, and like I said, like they are no smarter than me. In my opinion, like the way I look at it, it's like, absolutely. And I respect people. Yeah. I respect people who are at the top of the game, and I respect all these heavy hitters, that the guys out there, the March-ons, the GSTs of the world. Like I respect them so highly. But then I'm also like, I don't think that they're better than me. I don't think that they knew more than me when they were in my position. Do you know what I mean? They just kept going, and they believed in themselves, and they believed in their brand, and they believed that they could help people.
Ability to show up every single day.
Exactly. So I'm like, that just doesn't fit with that narrative or my goal of wanting to do that. So
what would it look like? What is the dream with it? Like if you had to kind of just wave a wand and then you're taken forward 5 years and you've done everything right, where does it leave you?
It to be what it is on a larger level. I think that's all it really is, because the core group that I've got within the kind of Gainline brand, like it's amazing. Like it's so good. Like I've got the best people ever, and like I was kind of, it's funny, like I'll look back on my post when I said it, like as a bit of like haha, like I was a bit immature in terms of like looking at growth, but like I've not done any marketing for the gym, because I think the marketing I have done is just the people that I've got. Like that's done the marketing for me. Like my marketing strategy has been like, have good people. Because if you have good people, you attract good people. They get good results. They work hard. Everything's good. Do you know what I mean? So, and I'm sure I'll look back on that. It's like, should I fucking just ran Facebook ads? Like, do you know what I mean? Or done something to
it's going to hold you off for ages. It's exactly. Like you've doubled down in a comment.
It's not...
I'll be seeing you doing photo shoots in that gym. That's
yeah, exactly. Like it's not been... That again doesn't lead to the goal I want of it growing, like, because that's obviously got its limits, but it's what's helped me, and it's what's got me to the point so far, and I want that to stay the kind of the root cause of like what Gainline is, and it's about like having good people and doing good shit and doing some good training. Do you know what I mean? And I think that can just grow. But what I have realised is that opening the gym is that like I now know nothing, if that makes sense. I know nothing.
Back to square one.
Yeah, I know nothing of what it's like to be a gym owner. I don't know what I'm doing. Like I truly don't. So it's kind of been a bit like, right, okay, well let's start to build a team and have people who know what they are doing. Like, how can they help me? Do they want to build this brand? Like, find good people, because when you look at the heavy hitters out there, like I'll use them again as the March-ons and all that. Like, yeah, Ollie is very much at the front of that. Like he started that, but he also had his brother, he also had his coaches, and then he's also built this team.
Yeah, you see the name, but there's a ton of people.
There's a ton of people that are involved in that. So I'm like, I'd be fucking really naive to think that I can do any of this myself. Like, just even at the first protocol of like, what is marketing? Like, I don't know. Like, I
should have listened back in that job I was in.
Yeah, I don't I've got not the slightest clue, but I think I do, but like, I really don't know. I'm a white belt in so many of this, or so many of these sort of aspects of what it is to be like a kind of an actual business owner. Like, people say they're a PT and I run my own business. Like,
it's different.
You work an hourly rate and you fucking tell people
self-employed and business owner.
Like, it's like things. It is
sole trader. Sorry, is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there is a difference between the two. So I was naive at the start to think that it's all much the same. So yeah, that's probably the next step, is just being like, let's start to fucking build a bit of a team and try and just get this thing going.
Yeah, you get the ability and the mental resilience to persevere through it, and the dream's there. And I think that's usually what separates those who kind of give up a wee bit and they stop believing in that. When you look back at your 20s so far, have you had any sort of low moments with PTing in particular where you've just got frustrated from either the industry or just whatever's happening in your life, where you went, the fuck this?
Not with PTing, not with the industry I work in. No, that's like, I love it. Like, I love this. And I think I was always going to do this. And I think that the only reason I've not been doing it for 15 years is because I thought that wasn't what you were meant to do, if that makes sense. I think that probably out of college, like, I would probably be in the exact same position now had I just done it straight from college than had I done all those other jobs. Do you know what I mean? I think I would still probably have ended up here doing what I'm doing. So nothing in terms of this industry has ever like got me thinking, why am I doing this or whatever. Like, it really hasn't. I think I've only just getting started in it, to be honest. Like, I think the thing is, because one of my favourite things to do in the world was train, and it just allowed me to do that.
What do you love about what you do? Like, what is it that you're loving about it? Is it like the satisfaction?
The actual thing I love the most is like, see when you see people's faces when they figure out they can do something, or when they learn something, or when they, I don't know, it's just mad. Like, yesterday I was coaching the gymnastics class, and like, we got some people doing like their first box bar muscle ups, like a variation of it back, and just like, see when you see the elation in people's faces when they can do something, I'm like, you actually can't beat that feeling.
It's so empowering, isn't it?
Like, it's so cool, and it can be from anything. Like, it can be from someone like actually being able to perform an overhead squat with like to full range of motion, like fucking hell, like, and they couldn't get the bar over their head. Like, when people start realizing they can do things like with their bodies and be a little bit more athletic, and like, it can go as high as someone fucking qualifying for a really high level competition, or it could go as high as someone getting their first pull up. Like, it doesn't actually matter.
It's all relative, isn't it?
It's all relative, but the emotion's still the same. You know what I mean? When someone snatches 40 kilos for the first time, they get the same feeling when they snatch 140. So it's like, it's the same emotion. And I think that every time that happens, it's fuc't.
Yeah, it's just an arm still. It's like, this is fucking great.
This is great. So I think that's literally what I enjoy the most. And I think that I won't never say this, because we don't know what might happen, but I'll always be coaching in person in some capacity. And I think that's why I went down the gym route instead of the online route, because the online route's great and there's options to scale it there, but with my online team, I always ran in-person events anyway, and that's when everybody had the most fun. And I was like, well, I could just fucking do this all the time.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that when you mentioned that, because the choice of a PT's progression, when they think about, right, what do I want from this lifestyle? Like, online coaching is like a sexy thing to do. Freedom from work anywhere in the world, head over to Bali, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Has that never interested you, like that side of things then? Like, I suppose the lifts and stuff that you teach and coach, can you do that through an online part, or does it have to be?
Yeah, absolutely can. That's a bit of a misconception, is that like, it's hard to get people to Olympic lift a bar muscle up or do all these kind of finer skill things online, but I've got like 50 people that I've done that with. So I should probably even speak more about that. Like, you know, that is a bit of a thing. And even though I have the gym, I still coach people online. Like, people still come through the doors as online for people who don't live locally to the gym. And it's not like a hurdle I've had much struggle with. I think it's just
quite natural.
Yeah, I'd say so.
What do you think of the whole like business mentorship side of things? Do you ever feel like you could see yourself going into that world, or because you've if you kind of rewind on your journey, you've had quite a natural progression through this, but also one's a testament to your drive towards it, and two, having the kind of right people around you that have became those mentors for you. PT starting out, do you believe that they should kind of go down a route of getting in a good box and just naturally having good mentors there, or paying for business mentors?
The mentors I had / have, I've been lucky. I've been lucky to have been surrounded by the people that I'm surrounded with. Like, my cousin's mega successful in business, and like just the lessons that I've learned from him, and even just almost like the work ethic that he does. Like, our first lad's holiday in fucking Napa 2013, he's like answering emails for work on a business that he's trying to start. Like, yeah, fucking hell, put the phone down. But then you fast forward,
you see it,
and you're like,
what is it he'd ended up doing?
He's actually the guy who owned the pharmaceutical business that I worked for.
Okay.
Right, so he's like mega successful. Like, but seeing that and being surrounded, but like I was surrounded by him, Cyan Ali, who I'll always give credit for I think that they helped me become a better coach, and like the kind of CPD or continued professional development that once I done my level 1, it wasn't like, right, come on and do some classes with it. It was like, no, like that's just the start. Like, let's actually teach you how, we feel like you need to do it. Like, me being surrounded by that from a business side and from a coaching side, and then there's a ton of other people who are in there as well. Like, I was extremely fortunate, and I think if you were to pay for all that, it's priceless in a way. With the PT mentorships that are typically on the market now, I think it's, from my personal opinion, from knowing so many of my mates who have been through a lot of these courses, a lot of it is fluff. A lot of it is like nonsense. But I do think that there is a market to be able to teach people, like, here's the mistakes that you shouldn't make. Here's some of the common things that come up. There is a place for it.
Yeah.
There is a place, because it's a mad market, like, to get into. Like, if people who work in a JD, who work in a pure gym, like, it's a fucking revolving door of PTs. Like, people come in and then people are like, fuck it, I'm not getting any clients, and then people leave. People are either made for it or they're not. And I think that the people who are never going to get it done anyway, they're not going to benefit from a mentorship course, because they're probably not going to do the mentorship course to the best of their ability.
Do you think they're in it for the wrong reasons? So I always wonder if that's really what it comes down to.
What, the kind of mentors out there?
No, the actual PTs going to the mentors. It's like, right, I see someone over here making X amount of money. I really want to make that much money. And there's no, like, you have a drive of really changing people's lives through the lifts that you're teaching and all that sort of stuff, like a high performance. So I feel like sometimes maybe that's what's missing in them, and it's just focused on a monetary side of things. Like, here, people's
perspectives are skewed, man, when it comes to this thing. Like, every PT listening to this will see, like, 10k months, 20k months, all these people being like, like, fucking, it's just like, right, a lot of these people, they're fucking living in doo-doo land, and like, it's almost as if you were to take the PT who gets a client dick skin shredded, right? Look at my client, look at the results. People think they walk about dick skin shredded. That's them now. So it's the same thing. It's like, look at my client, 10k a month, and it's like, that's maybe because you've gained 10 clients and you've made them all pay in full, and then so they've paid $1,000 for like a 6-month training thing. What's happening next month when they have a fucking 2k month? Like, they're not walking about dick skin shredded.
You're clicking their Instagrams like, they're not a PT anymore.
It's like, you have these fucking skewed things, and anybody that knows that they work for themselves, like, you're going to have good months and you're going to have bad months. Anybody knows that you've been in the fitness game long enough, you're going to have seasons of the year where you look good, and there's going to be seasons of the year where you maybe don't look as good, or even when you look at the performance side of things, where you perform well or where you don't perform well. So I think that someone needs to maybe unveil the curtain a little bit with the actual reality of what the kind of PT industry is like. And I coach a lot of coaches, and we have like a kind of wee sub chat bit where we just like talk about training, like being like, right, what's working. We meet up occasionally, we train together every now and then, and it's like a good group of lads. And we met back at the start of the year in January, and we kind of set some goals of being like, right, what we're going to do. And it's funny, back then I kind of set the goal of like wanting a gym before this even became like a thing, before
just threw it out in the universe.
Before Cyan Ali said that they've got this opportunity in that as well. And I was like, and then I just kind of spoke into existence. And a lot of these guys, we've kind of essentially held each other accountable for the whole sort of year. It's weird, again, that's had peaks and troughs, and we're trying to pick it back up again. But
I think it kind of highlights there is value in some sort of like accountability side of things, just like there is of having a coach in your corner. There is.
I think that a lot of the mentorship, it's just you're inundated with ads and people fucking being like, download this, download that, and it's like people are playing the game, and there is good that can come from it. I'm not saying that these things are bad. I'm just saying that people need to potentially be a little bit wary. And the thing is as well, and it's the same for training, but all the information's out there, right? You just have to find it and look for it. But like that is hard to do. And don't get me wrong, like if someone just put down a book, like here's a book of like, or here's a step-by-step process of like when you're opening the gym, here's exactly what you should do. And there is actually systems out there that do that. There's these companies that are like
gym launch for
gym owners. Like that, yeah, exactly.
As soon as you buy a gym, for some reason, it just seems to, that's the adjective, gym launch. What the fuck?
Like, again, they're just hammering you. They just know you're on it. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. I've got mixed reviews. I've kind of been through some of these things, and I've bought some things from certain people to just kind of see. And I think that you can always learn something from it. But the thing is with mentorships is that all of them work. It's just up to you whether you do.
It's like programs.
Yeah, all of
programs.
All of the programs will work. Some people have different strategies. A lot of them have the same strategies. Every training plan works. Every mentorship can work, unless they're giving you absolute drivel. Every training plan you do will work. Every mentorship you'll do will work. It's just whether or not you will. So I think that if you realise that, you know, if you put in the work, you will get the results. By extension, like, yeah, guidance is amazing. Coaching is amazing. But I think that one of the things that I have a little bit of a gripe with these mentorship things, and the ones that I've been through, is that a lot of them are just automized. Watch these videos, watch these trainings, watch our trainings. Look at me, I'm on a Loom video with the like no relation to where you're at in your gym. Like everything's just like, it's too systemized because they've got so big. Let's put systems in place so we can just churn this out to as many people as possible. And I think that if there was a mentorship out there that removed the trainings, removed the thing that works the best is the personal touch. So see, when I'm coaching people online, the times when I have the best results and the best engagement and the best interactions with my clients is the frequency of how often I'm talking to them. Yeah. So if I'm in their training programs every day, leaving comments, which is something I've been trying to do a little bit more often, I'm getting so much more back from my clients. In the same way where most people who do in-person and a kind of hybrid online training platform, their in-person clients typically are the better ones because they have more touch points with them. I think in these mentorships, these things have got so big, there's just a lack of personal touch. Or it's like, oh, you can meet with their assistant fucking whatever. It's some fucking bird in the Philippines just asking the same 5 questions every single week. You know what I mean? Like it's the same sort of systems or whatever in play. Like I think that if there was a mentorship out there that truly had a human connection and like true human accountability, almost like a one-to-one PT, that is where I think the market, what's missing in that market, it's something that I would be like, do you know what, I would be more
get involved with it.
I would get involved.
I think the pendulum's swinging the other way though, because what you explained there is really how you would scale your online personal training coaching. It was like automate your programs, automate your first 90 days, and then have your touch points throughout it. But you can't really automate your one-to-one. Like you'll have the similar foundations, but as soon as they break into a squat, it's like, right, okay, we need to actually change this. And I think that's really what's missing. I think you're right. I think the whole adaptation and personalisation of changing the path of what you're on. Because you're right, it's you show up with hard work and work ethic. Yeah. It's going to work. Yeah. Is it comparing it to something else, you'll never know. You'll never know.
These like this is the thing. The mentorships will work. All of them work. The trainings will work. Like I'm sure the videos are great. I'm sure they work for a lot of people. I think it's just for me personally. Like I know that when I'm training with someone and they see something in my movement, they go like, here, like, fucking let's fix this. Or if I film it and say, I've had a coach in the past, like, when I'm sending things to them, like, the more I give them, the more they give me back. Like, when there's that, an equal input-output to, like, the relationship, that's what I think is, like, missing in some of these higher level things.
Yeah.
Because I'm not interested in fucking sitting watching a 50-minute video of client acquisition.
Yeah.
Give me a phone call or give me a WhatsApp message. Give me a fucking voice note that's 90 seconds long that gives me a clear action point. It's like, stop what you're doing right now, go do this.
It's
okay,
all
that's cool.
It's all experience as well, I think. 'Cause I think you need to become a good coach. You need to have a couple of clients that you fuck up with, or have a couple of clients that you thought there was a clear game plan with, and as that changed, it's the same in the gym. It's like you've noticed that already in the first couple of months you've had it. It's like, this is how I'm going to do it, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, no, I'm going to do it like this now.
Yeah.
So I think it's just reps. It's all reps, so exposure and experience.
It is all reps, and I think it's reps and touch points, and whether that comes to, like, from coaching and getting people better at CrossFit, getting people better at Olympic weightlifting, gymnastics, fitness, getting people better at their business. Like, when I meet up with a group of guys, girls that are coaches, and we'll be like, right, okay, what's one of the things we talk about is like, right, we bring up what were people's targets, right? We bring up like what we're struggling with, right? Have you achieved this, right? Okay, we said we achieved this by quarter 3, right? Okay, cool. Like, what are you struggling with? I'm actually struggling with that, right? People weigh in their opinions. We have a clear action point. Next time we meet, have we done it? Yes, no. It's like a simple, like, here's a thing. Have we done it? Right? There's not this big, huge system. You're taking people where they're at, and then you're helping them just take one step, rather than being like, oh, we've got fucking someone doing 25k a month, like blah de blah de blah. And it's just
the byproduct. It's almost like there's the end picture. It's the end result. Or like, yes, it's cool to hit a number on your deadlift, for example, but the process of what it took to get there is the more important part. You know what I mean?
I think like people
just
might,
no sexy to sell. No,
I know. Like, people might think I'm like shitting on these mentorship things, and maybe I am, right?
I've had one guy come on that's done. I've got someone else coming on, which I never thought would have him on the podcast because what I've said on the podcast about it. But I'm starting to think, I was like, you know what, somebody that's in it, let me actually ask them and get their view and their way on it, but equally kind of challenge back with the stuff that I see or I hear, and just see what their opinion is in it, because I think we can all get caught in our own wee bubbles sometimes. Yeah,
definitely. And I think that when it comes to people getting results in anything, right, I think that people either have it or they don't, right? So if people can't make their PT business work, they're probably never going to make their PT business work. If people can't make progress in the gym, they're probably never going to make progress in the gym. Do you know what I mean? They'll always resort back to the default setting of like why they wanted to start in the first place. And yes, people can break through that, people can change, but I think things need to get a lot worse for them in order to actually make that change happen. Like, you see people when they come in, and I see it so much as well when I'm like coaching the way I'm coaching, and we're doing the type of workouts that I'm doing. If someone comes through the doors and I see the way they move right away, I can tell, like, I know, I'm like, this person's got a bit of something about them. Yeah. Right? You can always tell. Did you play any sports growing up?
Me, yeah, I played basketball.
Right? Say someone that hasn't been at training ever before, you never seen them, they come, and then you can tell right away from even just the way that they hold the ball.
Coaching cue.
Yeah.
Like you say one cue and it's locked in.
Just even the way that someone presents himself, carries himself. It's not like they're cocky or confident, but you just see the way that someone can move. You can just tell, it's like, this person's going to be good. You just know right away. And I think that people have that with their work. People have that with their business. People have that with the things that they want in life. Some people have it and some people don't. You can train it, but like, I'm not sitting here saying that I've fucking got all these signs, because there's plenty of things that I do not have.
I think it all comes back to mindset, though. It does all, and that's why, like, I decided to go down this route of what do I call my podcast, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what, mindset is everything. Like, action's obviously important and part to it, but it's like, how do you rewire that? Because if you, all the situations that you faced, if I said earlier, if you had the opposing mind or the thought of going, oh, fuck this, this isn't for me, like, you've kept persevering with it and pushed through it, which is why you're where you're at just now. And I don't know what it is that stops people from having that as their default thing. And that's why I'm a big believer of lifting weights, of like that little micro adversity of, I can't do that, holy shit, I can do it. Can I do that weight? Oh my god, I'm doing that weight. Can't do that extra rep. I'm doing the extra rep. That builds that resilience within them to eventually get there.
It does. It's all the wee mini wins you get And I think that the mindset is what separates everyone from anything, right? You look at that 100-meter final race, right, at the Olympics. I am 99.9% sure that the only reason why Noah Lyles won that 100-meter race is because he believed he was going to win it. Like, yes, genetics, yes, training, yes, he's very fucking fast, but any 8 of those guys could have won that. Do you know what I mean? It was the closest 100-meter race that there's ever been in human history. Everybody's sub 10. They're all fucking points, seconds away from each other. But when you look at all of those athletes up there, and whether people love them or hate them for this, but like when you look at how people approach the race, what they're saying, and
how they all came out. Like, see, if you just look at the entrance to that race, you probably like the energy that he bounced through the entrance, but everybody came out. They done their
thing.
What was the other guy, the Jamaican guy? What's his name?
I can't even remember. Which is terrible.
There's a funny like comedic sketch on this. It's like the difference between the 100-meter race is everybody knows my name. Don't know my name.
Yeah, it's fucking true, man.
Like every single one of them fantastic athletes.
That's fucking mad.
Crazy.
Nobody cares
but just because your foot landed here and your foot landed there, you're
or chest,
millisecond or your head or whatever. So it's mental. But the energy that he had coming out of it, you're right. Like there is an aura that's around him.
That's exactly it, right? And people are making memes about that. But then when you look back at something like Conor McGregor was like in his prime, I don't think that he was a better athlete than any of the fighters they fought. He wasn't a better athlete or fighter than Jose Aldo. He wasn't better than Chad Mendes. He wasn't better than Eddie Alvarez. He wasn't better than any of those guys apart from his mindset and his willingness to not break. Like, it was fucking crystal clear, and like he was literally so locked into like what his vision and what his future was going to be. Like, he was so dialed into that it became the reality. And obviously, because the thing is, like, people can only work so hard, people can only work for so long, people can only eat so well, people can only recover and sleep so well. Like, you can only do so many things physically. The thing that separates those people is the mental side of things. Like, I don't work harder than anyone else. I really don't. I'm not saying I'm this fucking big high flying guy or whatever, but there could be people listening that want to have clients, a gym, a house, a baby, a dog. People want to, which I find weird, people want to have a life that's similar to mine. And I'm like, well, I'm just whatever. I'm just doing my thing.
Sometimes where you go, oh fuck, actually
I'm actually feel like exactly. And that's not to sound like I'm fucking big headed or that, but it's just that I like my life, and I know there's people out there who don't like theirs, who wish it was something different. But the only thing that separated potentially me and someone else is how we think about things, because your perception is reality.
It's everything.
Do you know what I mean? And that's probably what's stopping us from whatever that next level is, the scaling version of what Bulletproof Studios is, or anything like that. I think that the only thing that's holding us back from doing that next thing is like how we approach it mentally.
Because you'll know what you need to do in the next 6 months to take your brand to wherever you want to take it.
Exactly.
Right? You know, like deep down, and that's where those little accountability groups can be. Sometimes it's like, you know what, I committed to doing that and I didn't do it out of just I made choices that didn't align with what I said I was going to do.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the drawing board. Is it something I still want to push for? Yep, right, okay, let's make it happen.
Aye, exactly. So, I don't know. I always feel weird talking about stuff like that, because I don't want to come across as being pure like, my life's so good and yours isn't. I just know that there was times in my life, or points in my life where it wasn't good. And I was like, it's just like, fuck this, man. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, there has been those moments, and known that it doesn't take harder work to get out of it. It just takes a different state of mind to get out of it. That's what I think people need to realise more.
I've realised all that. So I've been in my studio saying to you like 2.5 years. And in those 2.5 years, like the first 6 months to 9 months was just pure procrastination. Yeah. Until James left the podcast, I was like, I was waiting for so long and I should have just done it. I should have just done what I said I wanted to do.
Have you spoke much about that?
Yeah. So I done an episode and I kind of broke it down, and I was like, look, your ability to just do the thing you said you're going to do is really, I truly believe, like, if you're in this kind of world of business, yes, there's the market and the sales, the acquisition and all this sort of stuff, but you're in the position in because you're smart enough at what you do. And I think deep down you can get weigh-ins and different decisions on different mentors and that sort of stuff, but ultimately you know where you want to take your goal, your dream, and you're clever enough to work out what that path is, and you can speculate and hum and haw, but at the end of the day, just do it. Then you'll have the information of, do you need to bring on a marketing agency, or do you need to do X, Y, Z, whatever it needs to be. Like, don't dwell in it. Like, and I'm not saying I've wasted 9 months, but if I really break it down for what I want to do with coaching, like, I've not done any group stuff like you do. You've done like the sort of like specific types of classes. I want to do like these group workshops for six weeks and take somebody from start to finish on compounds, for example. I've been saying that since I opened the doors to this place, and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Because I've kind of veered away from my dream and my goal, and I think social media is a part to play. I get caught up in property, and I was like, what am I doing? I want to be a PT. I want to coach people. So it can be a shaky path to where you're constantly seeing all these different people kill it, and you're like, oh fuck, I want to do it. But it comes back to your mind and what you're able to achieve with it. A lot of people think that there's, you know, we're kind of sucking back to the mentorship thing. Like, most of the mentors that I would deem as mentors to me don't know that they're a mentor to me. So I'm excited to get into this conversation next week with Chris Bradley that's coming on. So he's got, and it's only because he's Scottish as well. And I was like, you know what, automatically you can default to throwing shade. And I say that's
like a typical Scottish thing.
So I actually reached him. I've followed you and unfollowed you so many times because I've seen a post and I'm like, that's all the shite, fuck him. And I voice noted and I says, like, the biggest lesson I've learned actually over the last year is like, mate, like, why don't you just, the more I speak to people, I'm like, their perception of what's online, of who they are in person, is always no night and day different, but you find that most people have a good heart that are in this space. So it doesn't matter, you don't need to agree with everyone's opinion, but sitting down and having a good conversation about it,
I don't think underrated. People can be truly successful without having good intentions. So like, if you look at a company like Chris's, for example, right?
Even our space, like, we're changing people's lives. You can't be sleazy about that, you know what I mean?
It's hard. I think a lot of those people get found out. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's hard to be successful, and, you know, from what I see on social media, he's obviously doing fucking really well and has like a really good group of clients and stuff like that who are obviously getting a lot of good results. There has to be some good that's come from that. It can't all be fucking wishy-washy, do you know what I mean? So there is pros and cons to that, but circling back to what you said there about the kind of procrastination and things like that, and mentors, like, a lot of mentors out there, like, for me, haven't been people that have known about it. It's just been people that have put out content and I've just followed it and listened to them, and they don't realise that they're fucking spitting game and being like, do you know what, that's a fucking, he's just fucking said something that he doesn't realise how good that is. And one of those guys is a Scottish guy, and you might have seen him. He's brought out a brand with George Heaton, Ross Mackay.
Right, yeah.
So he owned a vegan chicken company called Daring, and he's now came into partnership with George Heaton. They've created a Cadence, and I followed Ross for years, like way back before COVID, and I don't even know how. I just followed me back. We used to talk about training all the time. We used to do CrossFit and stuff like that, and he's been releasing some YouTube videos, and I've been tuning into them. And one of the things he said is that his wife is starting like a kind of, I think it's a makeup brand or like a skincare brand or hair, I don't know, something to do with beauty. I've not been that tuned into what she's doing, but he said something. He was like, at the start of people's entrepreneurial journey, they don't have resources, they don't have money. The only superpower they have at their disposal is speed. It's the only thing that you have, like, when you're first starting out, is speed. So it's like, when an idea comes to you, you know that it will work, or you think that it's good, you just do it right away. You just take the action, and you don't think about taking the action, because, or you don't write it down about taking the action, like being like, oh, I'm going to do this. Like, you just do the thing. And if you just do that consistently over a long enough period of time, like, you're going to be fucking light years away from anyone else. So I remember sitting down and speaking to the coaches and stuff like that I work with, being like, this is the only thing that we are missing here, because you won't do it until the next time you meet in 2 months' time, being like, oh yeah, do you know what, I'll actually do it today, when you could have done it.
It's genuinely nothing stopping you apart from what's up here, the thoughts and the whatever's in your life, the scrolls, the YouTube videos, whatever you're watching, whatever you're consuming. You find somehow it's weird how we're programmed just to, it's like, yeah, I know that's important, but I'm just going to work on this.
Humans are programmed for comfort. Yeah, they're programmed to find the most comfortable way of doing things. So like, thinking about it gives you the same, because I think there was a study done, and I don't want to be a fucking geek talking about studies and all that, but I think there was a study done that you get the same dopamine response talking about the thing you're going to do to actually doing it.
Oh, absolutely. I've even experienced that myself.
I've experienced it fucking wildly. How good do you feel when you write down, here's what I'm going to do this year, and you're fucking full of spunk? You're like, this is sick. This is it. And then 6 months later, that list has no ticks next to it, no crosses next to it. You've not done any of the things, but you're like, let me write down a new list.
What's the new goals? What else do I want?
That's going to make me fucking feel good again. It's like, nah, it's actually speed, doing the thing when you said you were going to do it. And that's something I learned. Actually, circle back to this. It's a mentorship podcast, right? I done one mentorship that was transformational in me and what I done and how I work, and it was Paul Mort.
Oh yeah.
It's Paul Mort's one. It was called the Mansformation, 12-week program Mansformation, and there was trainings on there, and I was watching them, and they were quite long, 15 minutes. I was like, fucking some of these are like whatever, blah de blah, wishy washy. But it was like on the calls, and I've never had anybody, like there were group calls and you got the opportunity to speak to them like one-on-one. I think it was once or twice throughout the program or whatever. Now, it was the most amount of money I've ever spent on like a single thing at one go. It was a lot of money. I didn't have a lot of money. It was right before Hattie was being born. Katie was fucking in and out the hospital, not being well with being pregnant and stuff like that. And I was like, I'm fucking going to do this thing, right? Because I was struggling a wee bit then. I was like, fuck, like we've got the house, we've got this, so much is going on. Like I need something to focus on here.
What's your PT business like at this point then? Is it okay?
It's manageable, but I'm very much month to month.
Yeah.
At that stage, I'm just like, there's no savings, there's no nothing. It's just kind of like a couple of people leave. It's like, oh shit.
Couple of people.
Yeah, I need to like fucking bucket up here. So let me kind of like dial something and let me give me some sort of focus. And I did this. And there was 2 instances where I thought, there was only 2 times throughout the 12 weeks where I've been like, woof, that was absolutely well and truly worth the money from just 2 wee nuggets. And it was one of them, and I can't even remember the depths of the conversation, but it was on a group call. I remember I asked a question, and I've never had anybody speak so directly to me in front of people, like make me feel like I felt embarrassed of how stupid and like how whatever, because it didn't make me feel stupid, but I was just kind of like, I've never had anybody give me that sort of like fucking clear cut, almost like military-esque sort of like, mate, like reality check in a way. And I was like, oh fuck, like I was kind of playing poor me, victim card, like blah de blah, and he kind of checked that. And then the next thing was, and it kind of encompasses a lot of the things in his brand, says do what you said you would. So like if everything in your life, if you just done what you said you would, your life would be 10 times better, 100 times better.
It's not that it's true integrity, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's like a wee bit of a buzzword just now, but it's at its foremost the most pure integrity as you can be.
Like if I started that program, paid the money I paid, which was a healthy, for me at the time, it was a healthy chunk of money, and he just said those words, and then that was the end of the program, it would have been worth it. And I think that sometimes you need to have a bit of skin in the game. You need to pay for these things in order to really
I'm with you with that. Yeah.
And really kind of do it. And I think that's why people get good results from coaching and people get good results from mentorship, because they've got skin in the game and they've paid for it. So there's value tied to it. If everything was free, a lot of people won't do these things. Whereas because I paid, I was engaged in it, and he said that, and it fucking just like hit me at the right time as well. It was the time I needed to hear it. And even, like literally daily, I'll remind myself of that quote of like, do what you said you would. Like when you said you'd get up at 6 a.m. to like prep your food before you left, like something so tiny like that.
Yeah.
Like
just becomes ingrained. I think us, like, especially in coaching and fitness and that, like quotes hit us harder. If you're in the mindset fucking game PTs as well, man, we love it. Aye.
PTs love it.
Gotta get it up in the gym.
No, there's a couple quotes I like. There's two quotes I always fucking talk about. And it's that one. That one's more an internal one. I've never really spoke about that in person before, or the impact that sort of mentorship had.
Probably the time of life as well, because I know we've not got into it, but the complications of like having your firstborn, becoming a father.
Yeah,
this is a bit of a surprise for you both and all that sort of stuff.
It was a massive mental shift I had to do. But the thing is, what it made me realise is that it was there the whole time. You just had to kind of be.
Because you were on 2 paths at that point.
Yeah,
you kind of kept snowballing down that, and you were on a destructive path almost there.
Yeah, that's very true. Like if people talk about downward spirals, but they don't talk about upward ones too. Like, because you can end up in a downward spiral, but like if you do a good thing, you do it consistently, you do what you said you would do, you fucking train, you say you would do the things, you tick your boxes. Like there is an upward spiral that's actually more powerful than the downward one.
Yeah.
So I think just when I felt that happen, and I think it was maybe subconsciously or whatever, I decided to take a bit of action to to do something about that I did.
Yeah, your ability to control it.
Yeah, I think that's powerful. But there's that one. There's the do what you said you're doing. There's the consistently good over occasionally great. I heard that. I think it was on might have been Nick Bear's podcast. I think ages ago. And it wasn't him that said it, was a guy that he had on who I don't even know. I can't even remember who it was. It fucking hit me like a ton of bricks because
I remember hearing that about like programming and workouts. It was like the most, I'm going to butcher this, but the best designed workout program for you performed inconsistently. I can't remember. It's like consistently following a shitty program will always outperform them. And I remember going, man, that's so true. It's your ability just to show up.
Literally just do the thing daily, and like that, I say it to my clients all the time, consistently good over occasionally great. And like, because CrossFit has like the whole intensity thing that's tied to it. And people are like, everything has to be intense. It's fucking WOD. It's go. A lot of people can get burnt out doing that. I'd rather see people train at 70% intensity with 100% consistency than 100% intensity with 70% consistency. I'd rather see that balance switched. Exactly.
So speaking of CrossFit, but before we kind of wrap up here, I did have some CrossFit questions for you.
How long we've been going?
Yeah, it's an hour and 36.
You're joking, man. Everybody's fucking tuned in now.
No. To be fair, my podcast, especially the interview ones, they're always pretty long. They're pretty long. So CrossFit and stuff like that, obviously that gets a good bit of shade thrown its way, or used to. Yeah. I think it's changing. I don't know if that's me just getting older and I'm like looking for a midlife crisis to change up my training routine. Yeah. Why do you think it gets so much shade?
It doesn't.
You don't think it does?
Not anymore.
No.
It did 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago. It did.
I think it's just because of the new kid on the block.
But I think now it doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't, not the way it used to. Like people want to do that. Look at the rise of High Rocks is the fastest growing thing in fitness right now. It's overtaken probably CrossFit in terms of its popularity.
Nick Bear's just confirmed he's got to do a High Rocks, and the fact that someone is like his caliber is doing that, I think it's going to get even more popular.
Yeah, he'll smash that as well. Like the thing with the development of functional fitness, like it doesn't get the hate it used to. It doesn't get the kind of flack it used to. People were doing it. You go into every single commercial gym in the country now, it has a functional area. What's that came from? It's came from CrossFit. Whether people like to admit that or not, CrossFit has been the catalyst for so many of these changes in fitness that we see now. When CrossFit came on, there's been a clear spike in participation in Olympic weightlifting competitions because people went to CrossFit, done some snatch and clean and jerk and went, oh, I kind of like this, took it as a sport. There's so many people competing at the Olympics now that probably wouldn't have been had it not been for CrossFit making weightlifting a little bit more like popular.
Yeah. I think also even with your basic compound squats and deadlifts.
Yeah.
Racks in the gyms weren't a popular thing.
CrossFit has got a barbell, a wall ball, a kettlebell in more people's hands than anyone will ever be able to give it credit for. And I think that I'm ready for it. If MD wants to try and argue that, let's go. Let's have a discussion about that, because I literally don't think there's anything that's put more barbells in more people's hands than what CrossFit's done.
Especially for female.
For women, is especially.
Such a game changer.
Mate, when I went to the gym when I was 14, 15, 16, one, girls didn't go to the gym, and two, if they did, they were on a treadmill. Yeah. You go into any commercial gym just now, you're probably sometimes outnumbered.
I remember the
girls doing glute bridges and stuff like that.
The women's exercise for less training area, and it was just all pink and it was all light dumbbells and that. I remember that, and I was like, "That's fucking so patronising for a start."
What's going on? I know.
But yeah, you're right. So, in terms of like CrossFit, I think you're right. I think there is definitely a shift. I don't think it does get the hate. It does. I think people are stuck in their ways.
People will still cast hate, but people will also hate on bodybuilding photo shoots just as much. People will hate on runners doing run clubs just as much. Everything does, in my opinion, get an equal proportion of hate from the people who don't do the thing. Do you know what I mean?
Like little cults.
Yeah, all of fitness. Everybody in fitness is fucking odd, right? Everybody in fitness has like their team. They're like, we all support different football teams. People support bodybuilding. People support fucking that shite because I like this. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, everybody's got their own sort of tisms. You know, the powerlifters have got their weird thing going on, right? The weightlifters got their weird thing. The CrossFitters got their weird thing. The runners have got, everybody's got their weirdness, which is fine. We're all a bit weird. So I think.
Who do you think stands the test of the fittest? So obviously CrossFit branded the fittest on earth. Do you think it's CrossFitters?
Well, I
know it depends.
I'll answer your question with a question: is what is your definition of fitness?
Yeah, I think that's really what it comes down to. So, because who was it? Is it the Aussie strength coach? What's his name? He's like CrossFit. You're never.
Yeah, he's great.
You're not the fastest person. You're not the strongest person. All that sort of stuff. You're sort of kind of in the middle. And I think I've watched a couple of the CrossFit documentaries only recently. Yeah. Because I was like, that doesn't really interest me. But as I said, as I get older, I'm like, actually, I want to compete in something. I want to do something. Yeah. I done High Rocks in February, and I was like, done it with my wife, and I was like, this was class. It took me back to being high school, competing in PE and all that sort of stuff. Totally. So I don't know. I guess what would you think? What do you think's got the best longevity of health?
So the highest longevity to health, if someone was to do it to the book, like what it actually does for you, it is CrossFit. That's what CrossFit's designed for. Like CrossFit and the CrossFit Games are two completely different things. They're sort of two branches.
It's like playing fives and competing in an actual game of sport.
Yeah, like they are two different things. So CrossFit for health is like, right, okay, we can teach people to squat, to deadlift, to pull themselves off a bar, to make them healthier in life. Can they get off the toilet seat? Can they stand up off the couch? Can they pick up their shopping? Like when you look at what CrossFit is at its truest roots, and the originator or the creator of CrossFit, Greg Glassman, who got fucking shunned out from a lot of wokeism or whatever, fucking back in the COVID days, that his whole thing was CrossFit health. It wasn't the games. He actually didn't even want the games to be a thing. So like in terms of like to be the healthiest person you possibly can be, I think that CrossFit is probably the best thing for that.
Statement.
Like, but it's not to say that any other method wouldn't be effective.
No, of course. Who wins in a fight?
Who wins in a fight? Who wins in a fight? Who wins in a fight? Maybe, I don't know, some of the powerlifters.
I was going to say the massive or strongman, I think has to be.
Oh no, strongman actually, yeah, strongman,
giants.
Yeah, strongman, hands down. What's the fucking thing? Strongman.
What's the competition like between boxes and CrossFit? Is there a bit of is there any animals? I can't imagine there would be because of the relationship you've explained with the guys in East Kilbride. But boxes like over this neck of the woods. Athletes only, they're big. Is that over here? Athletes only, guys. Yeah. Is there any like beef or any of that in that world? I
mean, not with me. Nah. I like to think I get on with everybody. But I think if you're everybody's pal, you're maybe doing something wrong. Like I'm not a people pleaser. Like I'll disagree with some things that people say. They'll disagree with some things I say. That's fine. I don't really pay attention to it. Like I'm the worst. There might be plenty of people out there that've got their issues with me. I don't really know about them though. And that's fine. But I think that like when it comes to like people having potential beef, that speaks on them. Do you know what I mean? Not on the ideology or the method of training or what you do, because fundamentally everybody has the same, I'd like to think, goal or objective, is making their clients enjoy their training and get them results.
So yeah, and that's what I find is quite funny when you see all the shade thrown between PTs. Sometimes I'm like, man, we're all here with the same purpose almost.
Yeah, exactly.
We get different ways of achieving that, but
exactly.
Like, surely the fact that we're all on this same mission.
At the end of the day, there's always going to be some fucking helmets out there. There's always going to be some people out there that have something to say. There's always going to be people that will disagree with what you've got to say, but that is a good thing. Yeah. I think that if there isn't a discussion about differences of opinion in terms of strength and conditioning, or how you approach somebody's progression, or how you teach someone to do something, there's going to be different methods out there for it. Yeah. And with such a broad thing like CrossFit, like the way that I look at it is like people can coach CrossFit for CrossFit's sake. The way that I've kind of zoomed out and looked at it is like, well, what component of that thing are you struggling with? What would the best in the world do with them? If you were in a weightlifting gym, how would I fix your weightlifting? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so that's the kind of approach and the method that I've tried to take of being like, right, okay, yeah, you could get running and CrossFit, so just do more running WODs. And it's like, well, what would that actual runner do?
Why?
You know what I mean? Like, so I look at like what would the best do, and like that's what fascinates me. So people have got their ways. There's more than one metaphorical way to skin the cat, which is a weird saying. I don't know who's ever skinned the cat before, but like people are going to have their differences of opinion, and that's fine.
Good. Do you believe High Rocks is a good thing then to happen to?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Aye. People get fucking stuck up with being like, oh, High Rocks is just, it's a fucking. People can have their opinions on what High Rocks is. Yes, it's just a workout. It's a race, much like the 10K is a race. Like, oh, you're not going to get bored doing the same thing over and over again. It's like, the fuck do you think a fucking 10K, a 5K, a 100 metre?
I know, because I thought the evolution of it, they'd maybe start changing it up, but then I realised, I was like, oh, they've done marathons since square one, they've just changed the location.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, surely that's what it comes down to.
No, I think High Rocks is absolutely a phenomenal thing, because what it's done, it's growing so rapidly, it's getting more people aware of a different style of training, and that's exactly what my gym and what my clients do.
And the number one thing is giving enjoyment back from something that you're putting in.
Exactly.
That trumps anything. Anything.
And I've always been in the camp, and I'm sure people would disagree, that from my training from day dot, well, not from day dot, from after the Ziz era, it's always been performance based anyway, and I've always been in the camp of like performance based goals long term are so much better than more aesthetic based goals, and that's the type of training we do. High Rocks is that, CrossFit is that, functional fitness is that. They're more performance based things, and I'm a fan of that. And the more people that do that, there's a bigger pool of people that could potentially come to my gym and help it grow. So I like it.
You got anything on the cards to compete in anything?
Yeah, well, I was trying to compete at Proving Grounds in October, but I'm not good enough.
No,
I never qualified. No, I could give them a long list of excuses if you like. We'll save that.
What would you like to compete in as you go into next year and stuff?
No, definitely some CrossFit competitions. Yeah. There's some ones out there that I definitely want to do, and that was one that I was definitely keen on doing. But
what about like Athex and High Rocks and stuff? Is that?
I'll maybe do them for more fun. I'd maybe do them for a bit of fun, or for last minute. It's not something I'm going to completely cater my training towards. If anything, like every year I like to test myself in like the Open and quarterfinals and CrossFit, so it's more so every sort of year I'd really like to ramp my training towards that and try and do better every single year. So there's definitely that, but there'll be some team competitions and there'll be some fun things I'll do, because as I get into the 30s, it's weird, you do become rapidly aware of like, hold on, like say like 5 more years max of like really pushing it. Maybe, I don't know, I could be wrong. There's people that do it in their 40s, 50s.
I think 30s you're definitely peaking. You're peaking with your performance, and then I think it does. I think that's where the mountain starts to taper down.
That's when the TRT can come back.
Aye, but that's also when you're competing in different category brackets as well, and you're like, right, who's about here?
Aye, getting the Masters. That's what I wind the boys up, because the boys that I train with are a good bit younger than me. It's like, listen, I'm just training for the Masters division. I'm just waiting until I'm 35. that's when the
calibre will continue to go up. Do you mean you just look at other?
I'm hoping people fucking weighed off and just like they're too broken by that point,
injured themselves, and
whereas I continue to scale up. So no, I think that I'm rapidly aware of like my age. Saying it's weird saying that, and I'm only 29, but like you've not got that long left of like high end competition of like really pushing yourself and really pushing your body. I think it will change. I think as I get into my late 30s, I might start doing more endurance style stuff for like triathlons and stuff like that. I do have goals and aspirations of wanting to maybe do that. Then now I'm going to keep it more sort of CrossFit based.
Good. I'll be excited to see how the next couple of years play out for you. Well, look, thanks for coming on. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for wasting it. 40.
Nah, that was a good story, mate. Good story in there.